let's take a look at what we can do with one of the editing features in Generations called merge. To merge, you have to have two or more items. So I'm going to create some very quick little areas that we can merge together. And to do that, I'm just going to kind of grab a couple of quick little, tools here and make some designs pretty quick. And here's our designs. They're just two little stars, and maybe I have them touching just on the tips. And I'm going to zoom in on this so you can see what I'm doing. Okay, these need to be touching to merge. If I happen to have them separated like this, the merge function really wouldn't apply here. But let's go ahead and let's crisscross these a little bit over, or let's make this a little fancier. How's that? So there's my two areas. They're touching. Do I really need to merge these two together? Probably not, because the in and out points in the program are going to handle any jumps or travel stitches. But if you want to merge something together because you need those pieces to operate in the same way or have the same fill direction, you're going to use an editing feature in your view outline, which is this icon right here. To select the areas for editing, you have to have them both selected in the flashing lines or so that you can edit. To do that, you can do it a couple of different ways. These are both the same color. So I could just click on the color chip to select them both. And you can see they both have the flashing outlines around them now. Or I could right click on one of the designs, hold my control key on my keyboard, and then right click on the second piece or the third or fourth piece that I want to merge together. So there are the two pieces selected and they're flashing, meaning that I can edit them both. So let's come up to our view outline, select that option, and they're now both shaded. To merge these together, it's very simple. I'm going to either use the outline menu at the top of the menu bar, or I'm going to right click on one of the shaded areas, and I'm going to come down to merge. Those two are now one piece. I won't see that one piece, of course, until I regenerate. Now you can see in my film strip, they are now one piece, and they can be, edited as one piece. If I want to add another piece to this, I can always do that as well, or I could do it at one time. So let's go ahead and let's make, another shape. And move this shape over like that. If I want to merge these, I could hold the control key and select each piece, or I could hold my right mouse button down as well and just scoop around all three of these since there's nothing else around them. As long as they're all selected with the flashing lines, then I can now merge this piece to the original piece. Go into your view outline, right click on one of the shaded areas, and then come down to merge. Then just regenerate your stitches, and you can see those pieces are now all one piece. Any change I make, like a color change, happens to all of them. I can also edit them if I need to adjust or reshape them. So that's how you merge areas. As long as they're touching, they can merge together just fine. The question is, do you always need to merge areas? If you're merging areas just because they're touching, you might find you have more control if you just let the program control the in and out points and leave those areas separated. So that's how you merge an area. Now let's look at how we can merge lines. Lines, are a little bit different because I'm now in control of my in and out points. So there's one line. A lot of times we end up with lines that kind of go like this. And you have to watch the in and out points. I'm just going to make a few lines like this. Okay, so you have lines that, are not crossing over, but they need to merge, so you have this main line as well. Like I said, with lines, as in with satin input, I control my in and out points. So what I need to do is come over to the lines in the film strip, and to select them all at one time, I'm just going to left click on the first one, hold my shift key on my keyboard, left click on the last one in my film sequence here, or my sequence view, and I'm going to let the program control the in and out points. Right click, on one of the shaded cells, go to Properties, and remove the check marks in User Defined In and Out Points. Say OK. Right click off to the side and regenerate all of those lines. Now the program's in control of the in and out points, right? So let's select these all, and I'm going to just click on the color chip this time to select them. Go into my outline or my view outline. Lines are a little bit harder sometimes to right click and access the menu on. So what you can do is use the main menu here, go to outline, and then merge. And then just simply generate, and there's your line. What the program's done is it now controls your in and out points, and it has made this one individual line. And that's how easy it is to merge. A tip about merging lines, though, is when I look at some of these points here, I will get much better results if I make sure that these points aren't overlapping like this. And if you need to, you don't have to be perfect. You can see my line turned out pretty good, even though I didn't have all of these things in the right place. But this is something you should take care of, especially if you're doing like outlines, and it will just make it a little bit better and a little bit easier for the program to merge the lines together. After all, they really should be touching to merge properly. So there's my line. That's how easy it is to use the merge or weld option in the Generations program. Now let's take a look at how to merge a few more lines that are a little more complicated. These are crossing over each other. They're not like the first lines that we did where they just met and then continued on. You can see here's a line. But as with the other lines, because I manually inserted these are user controlled. So I want to come over to my stitch sequence viewer, left click on the first cell, hold the control key or shift key. If I hold the control, I click on each one of these. If I hold the shift key, I can just click on the last one to select everything in between, and they're all selected. Now, I don't want to have these as user defined, so I'm going to right click on one of the shaded cells, go to Properties, and I'm going to remove the check mark in user defined in and out points. Say OK, right click off to the side, and regenerate. And what that does is it lets the program recalculate the in and out points. Now the other thing I want to check on is this area right here. So I'm going to zoom in, and you can see it's not really crossed properly. There's a gap there. In that case, I'm going to want to make a little bit of an adjustment to one of these lines. So I'm going to select this line, go to my view outline, and then go to edit mode. And I just want to adjust that a little bit so that the crossover lines up a little bit more. Let's kind of zoom in just on this. And you can see that's a little bit better. It's still a little bit off. So I might want to adjust that a little bit more. So that's looking a little bit better. Okay, now what I have is 4 lines that are crossing in a very odd fashion. Let's select them all. In this case, since they're all one color, I'm going to click on the color chip and go to View Outline, and then go to Outline from the main menu and select Merge. When I merge complicated lines, sometimes I end up with these little pieces that extend beyond, because we're asking the program to do quite a bit. So let's undo this and let's try merging this a different way. Let's start with one line, and then hold your shift key and select the second line. Go to Outline and merge those. And if you still get that little piece, don't worry, we'll fix that one later. Go ahead and generate. Now select this first piece and the second piece and just merge these one by one. And even if I'm going to continue to get these, don't worry, because we're going to repair that at the end. So let's select these pieces and let's merge those. So now we've got, our lines are merged, and let's really take a look at what's going on here. Let's zoom in. You can see I've got some funny little merges in here, mainly because of the complexity of the lines and what I asked the program to do. So I'm going to go to View Outline, and then I'm going to go into Edit Mode. And here are the points that I need to worry about. So let's right click off to the side, pull that point away. We can actually right click on that point and delete it. Now I've got this point here. Let me zoom out so you can see what's going on. So, this is what I have. I have like this curved line, which is going to give me a little bit of a problem. So what I'm going to do is come over to this line and right click and just drag the line as straight as possible, and then move my mouse over to this node and move it up into place. So I've resolved that issue right there. Now what else I have is this down here. So let's zoom in around this area. And this is the point I need. And sometimes trying to catch those points are a little hard. I end up catching the line. If that's what happens, don't panic. Just go ahead and drag the line out of your way for a little bit so you can get to that node. Pull the node down. And then just simply drag the line back into place. So there's my lines, and it's going to be the same as the other lines. They're going to stitch properly. We're not going to have too many issues with these, and you can check them in your stitch player here. If you go ahead and play them through, you can see that they are in fact one line, and that's how they're being handled. And of course it's going to depend on the line type that I select as to how many times they overlap. So that's how you merge a little more complicated lines in the program.